is a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
This is your moment, it's time to rise up. Conquer them all, watch as they fall. There's nothing left in your way. Prove to yourself, there's nobody else. Raise up your head and leave no man standing. No man standing. Numb to the pain, no one to blame. Breaking the weak as they fall.
What's up, gamers? This is Critical Redemption here with another game review. I'll be reviewing Murdered Soul Suspect for the Xbox 360. I recently just beat this game and I have a lot to say about it. This game kind of reminds me of a movie mixed with a 90s nostalgia feel to it. And what I mean by that is Murdered Soul Suspect is like a live action movie where you solve your own murder and you're trying to figure out who the Bell Killer is. So with that being said, I'm reviewing the Xbox 360 version. You can say what you want about Murdered Soul Suspect, at least this game dares to be different from any kind of game. It's one of those rare detective games that actually focuses on detection. I mean, rather than dragging you from clue to clue and jamming a nice shootout every now and then, like LA Noire for example. And even vaguely, it lets you use your ghostly powers and abilities to comprehend the facts and progress through the story. Let's not get crazy here. We're not talking about a video game answer to Sherlock Holmes or any other inspector game, but Murdered attempts to make it as some kind of adventure, a different adventure where it's the premise of solving your own death. Alright, Murder takes the who killed me and why setup of the B-movie classic DOA one step further by making it its hero, and you're playing as Ronan O'Connor, a ghost out to track down his killer. I mean, what this killer is, everyone's trying to figure out who the killer is, and it's a very confusing point to see who the killer is at the end. I mean, I was shocked. So with another thing, I also this game reminded me of The Ghost of Patrick Swayze. What I mean by that is your character Ronan is a cop. He was a formal lockup in prison type of guy until he got a second chance, and he has all these tattoos explaining, basically telling a story. And in the introduction, it tells you why he was killed, and he can't go to heaven because his wife wants him to solve his own murder. So he's stuck in between limbo. And then Ronan sees the light and moves towards it. Like I said, his former love, Julia, which was killed too, she informs him that he cannot yet enter the bridge to the afterlife until he completes and resolves his task of who murdered him. Wanting to reunite with her, Ronan sets out to a quest to find the identity of the Bell Killer. And this is what I mean. Murdered Soul Suspect meets LA Noire meets Ghost, aka Patrick Swayze. Murdered Soul Suspect plays out like a puzzle game along the lines of LA Noire. As a detective, Ronan must uncover clues and evidence to track down the Bell Killer. And note, the Bell Killer reminds me of Ghostface from Scream. Like Patrick Swayze in the movie Ghost, Ronan can interact with the real world with the use of medium, and this is one of the awesome things in this game. In order to touch physical stuff, you have your medium protagonist, and she's also looking for her mother. So throughout the game, she will help you open doors, she'll help you sneak into windows. You could also possess cats to get through small ventilation systems, which is pretty cool. And you can even meow by pressing the Y button. Yes, you could meow. So, with that being said, you could possess people. You could not even possess, but you could find out information by going into their body and questioning them, influencing them. And what I mean by the influence is, once you press influence, these pop-ups will pop up of previous things that you found throughout the world of Salem. And then you'll be able to click one and then influence that person to get some information out of them, which is very interesting, and I like the concept of it. Also, both Joy and her mother have the gift. Like I said, they're mediums, and it was at her apartment that Ronan was attempting to apprehend the murderer, aka the Bell Killer. Joy's mother is gone, missing. In order to find her, Joy teams up with Ronan to help solve the case and hopefully find the whereabouts of her mother in the process. So that's the whole story concluded. I'm not going to give any spoilers out. As a ghost in limbo, Ronan has a number of abilities at his disposal. Also, he cannot walk through external doors unless they are open, like I said previously, by someone else. Once inside a building, Ronan can walk through walls and other obstacles. He could fall great distances and not get hurt because he's dead. And he also has the ability to possess people, to read their thoughts, influence their actions, and peek at their notes or at their computer screens. So this is when the detective work comes in. He can even possess other creatures such as cats. Like I said, you can meow to get hard to reach areas. As you progress, Ronan will add to his abilities, learning how to transport from one place to another, allowing him to reach previously unreachable locations. And that is taught to you by one of the ghosts that you meet in the game. Also, he can walk through walls and fall from heights without further injuring himself, but he's already dead, like I said. Ronan is not infallible. Also, to add to the action of this game, since it's very story driven, there's hideous demons patrol the town like sentries in prison following a particular route. And what I mean by this is you have to be careful when Ronan is around you. If they spot you, they will try to suck your soul. Ronan walks into their field of vision and they will attempt to catch him and suck out his soul and end his time in limbo. And then that'll be the end of the game. You have to start from where you previously left off at. If they don't spot him, Ronan could hide within the lost souls littering the landscape. And that's by pressing RT, you could go from soul to soul, so you're hiding from the demons. Or even if he sneaks up behind the demons, Ronan can complete somewhat of a finishing move and banish them from limbo. Also, another thing to distract the demons is there's these black crows, and if you go through a wall and you see a black crow, you press the RT button for the 360 and they'll start making this hawking noise. That will distract the demons and you could go behind them and grab them. So I've basically stated everything about the gameplay. The story is very well told. It's like an action movie meets detective and meets ghost, and I really enjoyed playing through it. The story is very well told. You can beat the story within 7 to 8 hours if you rush through it. Also, there's side missions too, and what I mean by side missions is there's other ghosts. Since you're ghost, there's other ghosts from the previous years, like the 1800s, the 1900s, or even the 21st century, and some are in limbo and confused on how they died. And what Ronan can do as a detective is he could use his detective skills as a ghost and help them solve what happened to them, so they finally can rest at peace. And that was really cool and something that I really enjoyed in this game. So like I said, I only did one. There's a bunch of ghosts that are roaming around and you could help them out so they could go from limbo to heaven. don't worry about this game being religious. It's not. I mean, this town in Salem is basically witchcraft. The killer is creepy because you won't know who it is. Even a thing that I liked about the story is kind of like, if you guys have seen the movie Scream, you never know who the killer is, and you're thinking it's this one guy they're focusing on in the game or movie because he hates the protagonist, but at the end it's not him, it's someone else that you'll never even know. And that, I'm not going to go into spoilers much because I don't want to ruin the game for people who haven't played it. So, the Salem is the New England town of Salem, and there's more of a hint of witchcraft and brimstone in there, and you can tell by the environments where you're walking through. Also, being a spirit has its upsides and its downsides. You can manipulate most objects or open doors or windows for yourself, but then that's not much of an issue when you walk through walls. However, while you're free to wander where you will in practice, the game keeps you confined to specific areas. So brick walls you won't be able to go through. If it has this blue glow to it, that means you can't pass through it. And one of the downsides that I didn't like about this game is you're a ghost. You're dead, you're trying to solve your own murder, but yet you can't walk through some of the walls. I mean, come on, you're a ghost. Walking through walls is what ghosts do. This limits you. Like I said, you have to have your psychic medium protagonist to open doors, or like a cop or something, and when you possess them, you could get through the door. Also, another thing I like to say is, and besides demons, there's demon holes. So, for example, you go in the church, and there's a demon hole there, but you can't walk through there because the demons will grab you. So what you have to do is, you have to do poltergeist, and that's another thing I like about this game. This game has a lot of poltergeists. You could poltergeist a printer, a cell phone, a coffee maker. You can make cameras explode, and they'll freak out the characters in the game, and that's what I mean. There's this vacuum. You could poltergeist it and it starts turning on by itself. That freaks out the priest. You possess the priest, and then he walks through the demon hole, and then that's what gets you to the other side. Also, another downfall I found about this game was some of the glitches I ran into. Like in the middle of the game, within 4 to 5 hours of playing it, I noticed when I would walk through a wall, sometimes instead of walking through a wall, I would freeze and the game would freeze. Also, the living, not the dead, the living would walk through walls too. I was confused. But other than that, the story is very strong. You'll be shocked when you find out who the killer is. Because when I found out who the killer was, I was like, no way. This was a twist, and that's what I liked about this game. Pros. Final pros are, it focuses on the investigation of your murder, and you'll find out who the killer is. It has an unusual, creepy premise to it, kind of like a horror movie meets a killer movie. And surprisingly strong characters and story, and the voice acting is phenomenal. It's awesome. The cons about this game, too many artificial limitations. Also, average graphics for it's a 360 game. Also, the demon encounters can grow really frustrating, and they get really annoying because when you see demons and you're trying to hide from them, and then they suck your soul, it gets annoying. It gets repetitive really quickly. Other than that, I have nothing else to say about this game. I mean, this game was really fun to play. I will go back into it to help those lost souls, and that's my final. That's all I have to say. I'd give this game an 8 out of 10. There was some flaws, but I really enjoyed it. Right now I'm playing Castlevania 2: Lords of Shadow for 360. I am in the beginning of the game, and so far it's fun. I will be reviewing that next after this. So this is Critical Redemption with another game review. 8 out of 10, final verdict. I would wait for the price to drop a little bit, because you could beat the game within 8 hours of story, and you could go back to the side mission. So that's my final verdict. I'll talk to you guys soon.